Hey guys, what is up? This is the third and final installment of my mini-series. I will make a final disc video about how to heal in a raid and practical applications if I can get some gear, because right now I can't even queue for LFRs, any of them in the current gear that I have. For disc at least. I could put on my Shadow PvP gear, but I don't know if I want to do that. But right now this glyph, or this ability, right now, this video is just going to be about talents and glyphs, and it's pretty quick summary, so don't worry about it too much. Now, I'm going to cover both PvP and PvE aspects of them. Let's go tier by tier for talents, and we'll just do PvP and PvE at the same time. Void Tendrils is pretty awesome. It gives us a root. We do have some speed increases, and as Disc, we don't have any slows. So the roots is pretty awesome. PvE is probably the only thing you want is that. PvP, it's still viable. And it's probably for RBGs and arenas, or probably RBGs, it's somewhere between Void Tendrils and Psyfiend. It's not a huge difference which one you take. They're both like short cooldowns and just kind of fire and forget, you know, you kind of just leave it there and forget it, and you don't have to worry about it too much. It doesn't take any micromanaging. Psyfiend is pretty good. It is only one fear. It does spread to AoE, but it is still pretty nice in AoE situations. I would not say this is an arena one. I would say the arena talent for the first tier is Dominate Mind. You can really lock somebody out so hard, and like you can't like scream out like, "Oh damn, fear pathing." No, this is wherever you put them, which is so much better. Fear was already a pretty good CC because of the fear pathing could be annoying. But this is just OP, the things you can set up. So if you haven't used it in arenas yet, or you have and you don't like it, go back to it, try it, get used to it. This is the best. On to the second tier, Body and Soul, Angelic Feather, and Phantasm. If you have the glyph for Fade, this wouldn't be terrible for PvP. PvE. This is probably the best talent for PvE for yourself. If you use Fade a lot and you glyph it, that'll help out a little bit. But I still don't like it though. Angelic Feather is a pretty nice raid buff, and they keep trying to buff it to make it equivalent, but every single priest in the world seems to be taking Body and Soul. It's just amazing, and even more so for Disc, because we have no cooldown on Power Word Shield. So for me, this one's hands down, but you guys can pick whichever ones you would like. They're almost equal. This one is better technically, but you know what? I like this one. Anyway, so on to the third tier. From Darkness Comes Light. Again, we're just going to look at Disc. So you have a 15% chance. It procs Flash of Light to have no mana cost, and it charges up twice. It is really awesome and fun to use. I like it a lot for Shadow, but they came out with other talents that were more necessary. But they tweaked it because this used to work a lot differently. Because you would actually get both. But anyway, so this one really not that good. And then we'll look at this really quick, just because I haven't seen the new patch of it. Power Word Solace is what we get. It transforms your smite to do slightly more damage and become a dot, I believe. And every time you smite, restore 1% maximum mana. The last time I checked, this did not give, well, it's a 10-second cooldown. It just doesn't, it replaces your Holy Fire, not your smite. It does not give as much mana as Mindbender, and it's a slight damage increase. Out of the two, Mindbender, Solace Insanity, this is more DPS and more mana back. So that is hands down the right choice for Disc. You're welcome to try that. It is interesting, and it gives you more procs. It's more fun. This is definitely more fun. But yeah, go ahead and take Mindbender. Next tiers: Desperate Prayer, Spectral Guise, Angelic Bulwark. These Angelic Bulwark and Desperate Prayers are I think they're equal. It looks like Desperate Prayer is a little bit better, except you can't use Necros or whatever on a Absorb, so that's pretty nice. There's a 2-minute cooldown that happens automatically. Between the two, I would take Angelic Bulwark, but Spectral Guise is amazing for arenas, and just kind of dodging stuff. Also, if you have aggro on you in PvE, this will help you out with that as well. However, Angelic Bulwark is probably the better choice in PvE. Now, here is where I have the wrong talents, the last two tiers. So let's go look at Twist of Fate, Power Infusion, and Divine Insight. Twist of Fate, basically 15% damage and stuff, below 35% health. Pretty awesome if you have a like a really big, a long execute phase on the boss, or you're trying to hit Zerk. But honestly, it loses out to DPS and HPS to Power Infusion. The reason why Power Infusion is the best talent in this tier is not only does it increase your healing, well, okay, we'll read it. It increases your spell haste by 20%, reduces mana cost by 20%, and increases damage by 5%. Why is that a healing buff? Because our damage is our healing. So it's a slight buff to healing, and then basically, since you're going to be casting things 20% faster, you're going to be running through mana really quickly. So it basically lets you move at this faster pace without having to worry about the mana of that. So you're going to be completely equivalent to the way that you normally play. This is an amazing cooldown, and especially if you're trying to kill somebody, or just the raw damage output out of Power Infusion is insane. That's why it is better, because the damage is awesome. Now, the reason why I have Divine Insight is for raw healing, I don't think there's anything better. Your Power Word Shield, when it gets fully absorbed, restores all your mana. So if someone's taking if you can count on someone getting your absorbed, either completely absorbed or dispelled, this is a free heal whenever you penance. It's amazing. It really, really is. And also, the reason why I like this for PvP is that your bubble gets dispelled actually quite a lot. Now, excuse me, I wasn't doing a lot of serious PvP on this character, but I still have that in mind that, oh, they're going to spell my Power Word Shield. I can just, I can throw it on right away. So I have to spam dispel, and this is doesn't take anything out of me to do it. You can just do it constantly because it ignores the weakened soul effect. So I like this one a lot. As far as raw healing goes, this is the one to take, and it has really nice synergy with some other glyphs as well. But this is probably the best choice in the tier because of the damage and healing and mana cost, that kind of stuff. Oh, excuse me. Alright, so for the last tier, we have Cascade, Divine Star, and Halo. I just think Halo is really fun. I really like it, and when I was raiding, it was really nice to be able to set that up, and it ended up being the most healing for me. Because it, for some reason, just always crit for me, just the way that luck played, or maybe just my own personal bias. I'm seeing a lot of people take Divine Star. I think Divine Star is a little bit more skill capped, and maybe more like in chance encounter based. It is a lot less mana than Cascade, but Cascade is the big damage and healing. If you're in RBGs, Cascade hands down. If you're in 3s, probably Divine Star. Divine Star is the more skill capped of them all, though, and I just really enjoy Halo, but Halo is less damage and less healing than the other two. These two are pretty on par. This one is going to pull ahead in RBGs, and this one's going to pull ahead in 3s, also because of the mana. So that's about it for talents, and yeah, so let's just go ahead and switch to glyphs, and I'm going to talk about the one that has synergy with this really quick. So the most important glyph for you to have, I'm not even sure, I don't even have it on. Hold on one sec. Oh, I believe I'm getting sick. That's no fun. Oh boy. Alright, so yeah, like I said, this character is really old for 90. I haven't touched it in a while. But if you go look at some of the damage meters, actually there's this really, really insane glyph that I've actually been using on my Shadow Priest for a while. And it got buffed, and it's pretty amazing. Now, as a Disc Priest, like as a Shadow, well, I would say I discovered this as a Shadow Priest. It does crazy damage. It's amazing damage, and that's just a Shadow. Now, as a Disc Priest, you can put your Power Word Shield on anybody, and when it gets fully absorbed and dispelled, you get all that mana back. So this becomes free damage, and it stacks up to being a crap ton of damage, especially if you have this and you just have it on everybody all the time, because why not? So if you're looking to down a boss faster, this is going to be something you're not going to notice, but it's really, you're just going to be like, wow, I'm doing a lot of damage all of a sudden, and it's going to be because of this glyph. If you have, especially with this, it's going to increase that. I would still say if you're trying to down bosses, Power Infusion is the way to go for PvE. Just because that's how Disc's role. Disc's role isn't really healing, it's about putting bubbles out and doing damage. But anyway, this is the choice to have. Like, this is undeniable for PvE and PvP. Glyph of Penance is a preference. If you like, I honestly think mobility is insanely powerful, so I like this, but it is increased mana cost, so just be wary of that. Pretty much every Disc Priest under the sun is taking this, so be aware of that as well. It's a really powerful, the mobility is just really powerful, PvE or PvP. And then the last one I have is just really crappy glyph for pretty much everything. Let's go look at some other ones though. Weaken Soul, there's some other options that you can take. Weaken Soul will help your, if you don't have that talent that ignores Weaken Soul, this is a pretty significant buff. It means you can put it on like around 15% more often, so that's a pretty big buff when you think about it. Smite, moderate damage increase, you're not going to really notice it. You can put it on if you'd like. Renew, if you're using Renew, it is a healing increase. Especially with HOTS, the way the HOTS work is they usually overheal because they tick too long, but this makes it basically tick shorter and tick harder, so it helps out not only just with the idea of HOTS, since we're not really a hot class, but also it's just more throughput too. Anyway, so moving right along, Purify, pretty awesome. This is not like this does not apply to your Master Spell, which is kind of sad, but would also really OP. But Purify is a pretty awesome one for PvP. If you're doing any dispelling, this is significant healing. It really is. It's going to add up a lot if you're doing a lot of spells. But I still wouldn't recommend getting it. There's some other more prime choices, but it's still probably one of the best ones you can get. Probably more throughput than Renew, honestly. You shouldn't be putting out too many Renews. It's cheap, but it's not very good. And Smite, your Holy Fire should be up all the time, but Psychic Scream, if you're doing PvE, I don't know why you wouldn't have this. This is so mandatory, and it sucks that it's mandatory because like there's so many other things you can get, but if you need to use your fear on a fight, you gotta have Psychic Scream Glyph, because having them running around is a pain. And just sticking to things that are only disc. Prayer of Mending is also a healing throughput increase, but it is a preference of how you like to play and use Prayer of Mending. Power Word Shield is not that good. This is bad. Don't have this glyph on. I have this glyph on. Don't do it. Talked about that one. Let's skip Shadow. Master Spell this is probably required for PvP. If you're doing arenas, depends on how you do RBGs. This is required for arenas. If you're not dispelling bubbles, then just you're not disking right. But for RBGs, it's different. You can maybe get away with not having that, but it is also sometimes mandatory, and it's sad that that's mandatory a little bit, like the Psychic Scream glyph. But moving right along, Levitate is a pretty awesome glyph, but I would like to take it, but there's just better glyphs. Inner Sanctum is an amazing glyph. This is the one that I would have on if I felt like spending money on my tune. I actually have it on my Shadow Priest, but I want to stay holy or disc for now. So spell damage taken is reduced by 6% when you're in Inner Fire, and then you get 6% increased movement speed from Inner Will, so that's 16%, and that's a pretty big movement speed increase, honestly. It's 16% movement and speed increase. And also, when you have Inner Fire, they buffed it, so it increases your armor by 90% already, and then an additional 6% from spells. That should be the one you have from PvP and PvE. This needs to be on if you're going to be taking damage with this with Inner Fire, so be aware of that. It's gonna be something that this is highly recommended. Holy Nova, back in the day of 5.0.4, it was awful. I have not done any research on this. This is my fault. Especially when there's so many other great glyphs to take. I heard it was crap before. I just heard it just did not have the throughput. It just wasn't worth it. I tried it and it was not very impressive. Maybe it's changed. Maybe it got buffed. But at the same time, there's other, like, you don't need another spell. You just don't. You just don't. Increases the range of Holy Fire. It's nice, but no, it's really not. Focus Mending is awesome for like Shadow if you're doing twos. I would not say it's good for anything else. Fear Ward is pretty nice, but it is hard to use with so many other great things. Dispel Magic is also pretty nice if you're dispelling. If you're the dispeller in your 3's comp, or you have to do it in PvE, this is going to just increase your damage by just a little bit, but you're doing damage when you weren't doing damage before. So it is a damage increase. And Binding Heal, I have not done my research on this one either. It does cost 35% mana, but it is quite an amazing heal. And the second target is, or the third target is Smart Target. It doesn't heal for all. Well, I guess it heals for a pretty hefty amount now that I look at it. Yeah, it heals for a pretty hefty amount. I would say that is probably worth going if you think you can use it. However, you have so many AoE heals, I wouldn't recommend it. But I would say it's definitely an increase to throughput if you're using it. Really, I don't cast too much of my Disc Priest. I mostly DPS. That's more of a preference. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you stay tuned for the next one. I'm just gonna kind of do all that YouTube blah, blah, blah. You know, please like, comment, subscribe. It really helps a lot. And if you want to stay in touch with me, always the comment section is good. But my Facebook's down below. And also check out the music info down below. I try to have some pretty cool stuff down there for you guys to check out.